Once a year for the past 6 years, the Minecraft community has divided itself. In 2017, Mojang decided to add a very controversial event, and since then has divided players into 3 groups once a year. I'm your host Chris, and welcome to Minecraft Files, the downfall of the mob vote. Several years leading up to 2017, Mojang would host an event called Minecon. Now in 2017, an event would be added to every single Minecon after this. The event, of course, being the mob vote. Now, over the course of the years, the mob vote would go from 4 mobs to 3 mobs, and then it would also become a biome vote for 2 of the years. In 2017, we didn't have the fancy animations like we do nowadays. The way they were presented was several different videos over the course of a couple days, presented by Jeb, who would show us pictures and explain kinda the features of each mob. Also during this explanation, he would go on to explain that one mob would be added in the next update, and the others would be added at a later date when it fit the timing. One of these mobs clearly shows that that statement was a lie. And of course I'm talking about the mob that would have been found in the Nether, Mob D. You may be asking why out of all 3 of the mobs that didn't get added, why this one is the most obvious that the statement they would be added when the time was right is a lie. The reason for this is because many years later we would get the Nether update. Now, this was no small update. This completely overhauled the Nether, adding several new biomes, adding new types of wood, several new types of mobs, and structures found within the Nether and outside the Nether. This would have made the perfect time to add a mini boss to the Nether, as it would just fit perfectly with the theme of the update and would have added even an extra challenge to the Nether. There's also a case that could be made for Mob A, the Monster of the Deep. Now, I don't think this mob should have even been a part of the mob vote, and they should have just kept it to Mob B, C, and D. And the reason for this is at the time that they were making this, there was already plans and production made on the aquatic update, and during the explanation itself for Mob A, it was even said that there was very little life in the oceans and that this would add a challenge when you're traveling from island to island, and it would add a bit of extra life to the oceans. So this one I don't even think should have been a part of the vote and should have just been added on to the aquatic update, which would come out the year after or 2 years after. But of course we all know the mob that did win was of course the Phantom, which the community would later come to majorly regret this decision. This would be not the greatest regret that the community has ever made, but it's definitely up there, and I avoid seeing this mob so much that I have 2 towers of beds behind me and a bed in every single building in this world. 2017 didn't really have the vote divide the community itself, it was more of the implementation of the Phantom following the event. Now, in later years, this would definitely come to grow a lot. Biome votes didn't really divide the community as much as the mob votes have, so we'll be briefly covering them and then we'll be skipping over to the other mob votes. When it comes to the biome votes, I feel like the most underwhelming biome is the one that wins. If you look at the 2018 one, we had deserts and savanna biomes and the taiga, to where the desert would add a new type of tree, meerkats, and the savanna would add an ostrich, termites, and another new type of tree. And then we had the taiga, which just added foxes and sweet berries. I don't think the taiga was a mistake by any means. I love the foxes and I love sweet berries. In one of my old Minecraft worlds, when the update first came out, I made Berry Bunker, which was 100 layers of berries stacked on top of each other. I don't know why I did that, but I did that. And I think this is one of the biggest examples of how the community just kind of chooses off of what the cutest animal is sometimes. Because, for example, the taiga didn't add much, but people picked it because it has a fox. And the fox is adorable, so of course the fox was going to win. But this also kind of shows that they don't add features when the best time would be to add them. The meerkat in the desert updates should have been in 1.20 because there was a large overhaul to the deserts, kinda, anyways, when it comes to 1.20. The tells and trails, they added camels, and they kind of gave a little bit more life to deserts, and I feel like the meerkats and that tree would have just worked better in them. Now for the ostrich and termites, they might have worked well also, but there's not really a greater example of those. 2019's biome vote had kind of a little bit of the same outcome. I know a lot of people were disappointed just entirely with the options this year. We had the goats, and it came with the mountains. We had the vulture, which came with the badlands, and also added tumbleweeds and a new variant of cactus. And then finally, we had the frogs, which came with the new kindness swamp. Now, of course, the goats went on to win this, as we all know, and I feel like this year, 2019, was the least divisive year, mostly because I think everyone just really wanted something added on to mountains. And Badlands, I think most players, with how rare they are just kind of happy with what the Badlands are. And of course, the frogs, they are the one and only case we have of a previous vote actually getting added to Minecraft, which was awesome because I love mangroves and I love the frogs. But I kind of hate that it's the only example we have over the last 6 and soon to be 7 mob votes of only one of the previous years getting added on. And that's all I'm going to say about the biome votes. Let's move on to probably the most divisive winner year. We had the 2020 mob vote. Now, if you don't remember what the 2020 mob vote was, it was the Moobloom, Iceologer, and the Glow Squid. This year was so heavily influenced by YouTubers and stuff like that, and what feels like false advertising, especially looking back at this, because before making this video and everything, I went back and I reviewed every one of the mob vote trailers, and the Glow Squid just kind of like, it doesn't glow, and in the trailer it has a kind of mesmerizing feature which a lot of people thought was going to be a part of it, and none of that happened. It's just a squid that's retextured, and that's it. It adds a glow ink sac, and it's not that exciting. Now, I will admit that at the time when the Glow Squid won, a lot of people were excited, and a lot of people were expecting it to win. I'm going to be honest, I voted for the Glow Squid, but I was also under the impression that it would actually glow and would add atmosphere, because at the time I was making a lot of underwater builds and stuff like that. I was under the same impression as YouTubers like Philza, who was currently working on his end project at the time and wanted to add glow squids to basically add an atmosphere, because glowing squids in an underwater builds would look amazing. Problem is, when the glow squid got added, we didn't have really anything. It spawns in caves, and it looks stupid, to say the least. It is the most underwhelming feature that was voted on, got added in, by miles. Now, of course, there was 3 options. There was the Moobloom, which I know a lot of people nowadays wish would have been the winner, even though it didn't really add much onto it. The Moobloom was really cute, really fun, and would have just been a nice thing to have around builds. Nothing crazy. The thing that I feel like a lot of people were upset about at the time that we didn't get was, of course, I do think the Iceologer didn't really exactly fit with the Minecraft theme, as we also have another kind of hostile pillager that is in the files that we don't have access to, the Illusionist. I feel like the Iceologer kind of fits more like that, where it doesn't really match entirely with Minecraft, and it definitely is one of those Minecraft Dungeons type features. Now, this next mob vote is my least favorite. I hate the one that won. I never care about the one that won. Stupid features, everyone thought it would be used for something, and then it never got used for that. And if you voted for the next mob that I'm about to say, you're a terrible person, and you need to own up to your mistakes. I'm of course talking about the LA, the little blue guy that you occasionally find at Pillager Outpost that will go and dance to music and then bring you items. Everyone thought you could use this for automatic sorting systems and stuff like that, and they would get out a chest. Y'all were wrong, and I don't know why you ever thought about that, because it said items that were on the ground. It was stupid, and you should have never beat the copper golem. This mob vote has upset me so much that every time I find an LA, I kill it. I don't need the use for it. I don't care for it. I kill it. Yet I have added a mod that adds the copper golem and the glare into it. As you saw at the opening of this video, that mod is amazing. The copper golem can be used for so many things, practically, without being complicated. The glare is such a fun mob to find in the caves. Look at this dude. Look, he's flying around. He doesn't do much. I mean, he's telling me right now that monsters can like spawn up there. They really can't. Look at him. He's just flying around. He's chilling. He's doing more for me than an LA is doing. He's adding atmosphere to the caves. You're cool. Keep doing a good job, buddy. 2021 up to this point was definitely the most decisive year. We had the LA and copper golem. We had people saying the LA was unnecessary and you wouldn't use it, which came true. And then people who wanted the copper golem. We have 2 golems in Minecraft. People love them, and we definitely need more of them. And the copper golem was a great opportunity, and it sucks that we will most likely never see this mob because Mojang just doesn't want to add it, even though they say these mobs will get added at some point, but they never will. This mob vote was definitely not the start of the downfall, but is when the downfall of the mob vote took a sharp downward spiral. The year before with the glow squid, the community wasn't necessarily against each other, but was more against the creators that used their platforms to encourage, saying, we need the glow squid, vote the glow squid. Like Dream, Filza, which I understand Filza, he wanted a glow squid to add. Dream and them, they didn't need the glow squid for anything. It didn't change their builds or anything like that. They just wanted to vote for the glow squid. And I feel like that vote with the glow squid, Moonbloom, and Iceologer was start of the downfall of the mob vote, but it wasn't against the mob vote itself. It was more of, why did we let YouTubers kind of decide what we were going to vote for this year? And was also a very heavy implication that Mojang is kind of lazy when it comes to these mob votes. And when it comes to making these mobs in their entirety. Now, I am going to say real quickly on the 2022 mob vote, the Sniffer, the Rascal, and the Tough Golem. I think the Sniffer was kind of stupid in the sense of it was really cool, but most players won't go out of their way to go get the Sniffer, much less the plants it brings. And I feel like the Tough Golem should have won because it adds a lot of cool things. If you wanted to do a museum, you could do stuff like that, or it would have just been a great way to display items, because podiums would be an amazing way to display items. I have a mod that actually implements podiums in the server you're seeing because it's a great way, and Tough Golems would be a great vanilla feature to basically equivalent to that. The Rascal, I think it would have been similar to the Glare. It would have been a nice thing to have in caves, but that's pretty much it. 2022 mob vote wasn't as decisive as this year's, and the one that is bringing so much decisiveness. There is a campaign, a revolution, almost as big as the revolutions for countries currently going on. The 2023 mob vote. Penguins, armadillos, and crabs. And we will only get one, and people aren't happy about it. Now, I will admit all three of these mobs are great decisions, but they're all pretty simple features to add. There's nothing crazy about them, and it doesn't make sense why we can't just have all three in an update. And the community. Oh boy, does the community agree with this statement. There is so many petitions, which at the time of me recording this, there's a petition with over 500,000 signatures on it to cancel the mob vote. On TikTok, you can't scroll for more than 5 videos without finding a thing that has to do with ending the mob vote, revolting against Mojang, and add 3 before they're free. Add 3 for free. Sorry, that's the motto. That's the motto. And I can't help but to heavily agree with this. Here's what the mobs this year do. We have the crabs, which drop a crab claw, which allows you to place blocks farther. Originally, it was thought also that this would break blocks farther, but we've gotten some mixed leaks in the past couple days. That leaves this up to question. We also have the armadillo, which would add wolf armor, which I'm not entirely. I like the wolf armor idea, but it's nothing that's going to make me vote for that mob, as every dog I've ever owned in Minecraft, I tame, build it a house that is way nicer than mine, and leave it there so it enjoys life. And finally, oh finally, the cutest mob that we have ever seen in a mob vote, the penguin, a mob I've wanted for years. Only problem is, I can't in good conscience vote for the penguin because it does absolutely nothing besides be cute. The penguin is like the worst version of the dolphin in its feature. It makes you go faster on a boat. Late game, this doesn't matter. To go faster on a boat, they only spawn on stony shores. So are you really going to see this really change gameplay features? No. They're just cute and clumsy, which is almost enough for me, but not quite, and neither not quite for the community. We've all wanted to revolt against Mojang, and now it's time that we are. For years now, I've seen people bringing up the fact that Mojang acts like they're still an indie company. They're acquired by Microsoft, and they work on the biggest game in the world. They're not an indie company anymore. They are one of the biggest studios out there, And they need to realize that and put just as many resources in it. Mojang is no doubt lazy when it comes to things, even though we've had a member of the development team say, no, we work 8 hours a day, do this and this and this and this. When a mod creator made the crab and its feature in less than 16 hours after the mob got revealed. Was it flawless? No, but when you have a whole year and a whole team working on these things, I'm pretty sure you can get this one mob in along with the other two. Now, when it comes to laziness, I feel like the most accurate showing of this is when it came to the Caves and Cliffs update. They promised and showed off a ton of these features for 1.17 with the new caves and the massive mountains and this new biome and stuff. And then they split it into 2. And then some of the features didn't get added till 1.19. And then one of the features didn't get added till 1.20. All these features we were promised were for one update, the Caves and Cliffs update. But we got 1.17, which added some new biomes and new blocks. 1.18 is when we actually got the new generations and the extended world height and stuff like that. But we didn't get the Deep Dark, which was one of the bigger selling points, until 1.19, and that was the biggest thing in that update. The Deep Dark and the mangrove swamps. So if you had taken the Deep Dark out and added it to the update before, the only thing we really had for 1.19 was frogs. And then the Trails and Tells update added archaeology and other things like that, and it just feels like they took ideas out of this Caves and Cliffs update and added it to later updates because it was features they were already working on, and why add it all into one big update when you can spread it out and have a ton of smaller updates? That's how it felt like. That's how it still feels like. 1.21 needs to be something different, and this mob vote, they need to do something to where all 3 get added, to be honest with you. No outcome will make the community happy and make them hate Mojang less than they do right now. And honestly, I completely understand. I'm part of the community. I've been part of the community for many, many years, and it's kind of unacceptable the way Mojang treats this game and acts like they're an indie company. They need to just pick up some slack. They need to work 8 hours a day. This is 2 hours a day, and they need to get on it. I love Minecraft. I want to see it keep going for years to come. But when it seems like you're just being lazy when it comes to updates, it's hard to get behind your studio. So, with some final words on this video, fight for the 3 until they're free. Thank you, and I'll see you next episode.